स्वागतम् अद्य षष्ठो दिनाङ्कः षष्ठस्य मासस्य षष्ठो दिनाङ्कः This is 6th of June बुधवासरः व्याकरणशिक्षा लुङ्लकारप्रकरणम् चरमोऽध्यायः last lesson of the book अस्मिन् पुस्तके अस्मिन् ग्रन्थे चरमोऽध्यायः. Let's do Mangalacharanam. Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Vihata Nishachara Chamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha Raman Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittale Sada Bhotume Bhoramama Muddhara Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane Shri Rama Nama Varanana On Nama Iti Atha Shri Maheshwara Sutrani I Un Rulruk E Ong I Ouch Hayavarat Lanya Nyamanga Nam Jabai Gadadash Jaba Gadadash Kapa Chata Chata Tav Kapai Sha Sha Sar Hal Iti Maheshwara Sutrani. Okay, last time we were actually pretty much finishing this book. We were in the last aorist passive. Unfortunately, at the end of the class, I created some confusion. This dhatu gum. Anyway, let us look at this topic one more time. So, talk about aorist. We are this in this last two pages here. We are on page 158 bottom. Actually, we finished this page last time. I just want to do it, this last topic from the beginning, just quickly one time. It's talking about the passive lung, karmani tva bhave lung. The aorist passive is identical with the atmanepadam. As always, remember that bhava karmanoho is only atmanepadam can be used, bhava karmanoho. This rule is almost never violated in the language. Almost never violated in the language. 1.3.13 bhava karmanoho. Very important rules. If you think something is in the passive, it should have a atmanepadam after. If you think it's a tingantapadam used in the passive, it must have atmanepadam. Okay, so bhava karmano. So that's nothing new to us. So the third person singular, however, is formed independently. The termination e added to the root. This is what we studied in the last class. We can do it one more time. It says, before we get to that, so that sutram we need is bhava karmanoho. Chin bhava karmanoho, I'm sorry. Chin bhava karmanoho. But before going to that section, let us we quickly review these couple of few rules is chinte padaha, from chinte padaha. Now, so this is in that section of Chilungi, which starts from 3.143. From 3.143, that lungi. Lungi goes all the way up to 3.166. These are the last few rules in that section of lungi. So basically, what are the vikarana, the transformation takes place to the root when lung follows. So that is which starts from chi lungi and goes all the way up to chin bhava karmanoho. And the last the 7 rules are chinte padaha. Then Deepa Jana Buddha Puri Pyayi Pyayi Bhyonyatrasyam Achah Karma Kartari Duhascha Narudhaha Taponutape Cha Chin Bhava Karmanoho. That's what it is. So let's look at this one briefly again, Chinte Padaha. Now these rules from 61 to 65 are not in the passive. This Chin Bhava Karmanoho only is in the passive and applies to any dhatu. Okay, understand? So this affix chin is prescribed in the passive only by 3.166. 3.160 to 65, actually 60 to 63, 60, 61, 62, 63, they prescribe chin, but not in the passive. And 64, 65 is the negation. And then after that comes 66, chin bhava karmanoho. So really we want to get to chin bhava karmanoho. But before that, we can look at quickly look at 3.160, where the chin first starts from there. One more quick note over here is, why does Panini repeat chin in the sutram 3.166? The reason for that is that in between came a nishedha, na rudhaha. So even though anuvritti of chin was coming down from 3160, that was stopped. That was negated here by na rudhaha. Anuvritti of na goes to next sutram also. So 64 and 65 are nisheda sutre. Therefore, Panini again says chin bhava karmanoho. Now then the question comes, why not put this bhava karmanoho prior to na rudhaha? The answer to that is that this bhava karmano is required as anuvritti into the next sutram, sarvadhatuke yak. So one more time, chin starts from here, chin te padaha. And again Panini says chin bhava karmano. The reason for that is that in between came a negation, a prohibition, a nishedha, na rudhaha and tapo nutapecha. So that's why Panini has to say chin bhava karmano, chin again. Then the question comes, why not put this bhava karmanoho prior to na rudhaha? You have to repeat chin again. The reason that will not work also is that we want bhava karmanoho to go down into sarvadhatuke yak. So Panini has no choice but to repeat chin in bhava karmanoho, because we want bhava karmano anuvritti to come down into sarvadhatuke yak also. Okay, so basically this chin is repeated here because there is an intervention by a nishedha, na rudha coming in between. So we cannot use the prior chin from 3160. Okay, so chin te padaha, let's get it quickly. Very simple sutram. Padashlesh chin syat ta shabde pare. This entire chin vidhanam has one thing very important, is tap, this te. This anuvritti of te comes down from chin te padaha all the way down into chin bhava karmano. So when if chin is to be used, it's only ta shabde pare. Ta, when this ta affix follows, ta affix follows. Now what could this ta affix be? What could it be? This pada is a atmanipadi dhatu. So we see if it's ta atam ja tha satam jam idvahi mahi. So this ta is going to be has to be, I should say, pratham purusha ekvachanam in atmanipadam. So ta here refers to the atmanipada pratham purusha ekvachanam. Okay, so that is the only situation when chin comes. When this ta pratyaya follows, then only chin is prescribed. Okay, so chin te, and this anuvritti of te goes all the way down. So this entire section of chin, it only is referring to when the ta affix follows, which is atmanepada pratham purusha ekavachanam. So chin te padaha says padesh klesh chin syat ta shabde pare. So this applies to only a single dhatu, this dhatu pada gatao. When the term ta, which is the atmanepada pratham purusha ekavachanam, follows, the substitution of chin in place of chili. When it follows the verbal root pada gatao. So when we take the pratham purusha ekavachanam, this is not in the passive, this is active voice. Pada is atmanipadi dhatu, so pada gatau, vivaksha lung, kartari pratham purusha ekavachanam. Usual steps, pad plus lung, anubandha lopaha, bring in the pratyaya ta, anuzatagnyata atmanipadam. And then chilungi, always, wherever there is lung, there has to be chili. Wherever there is lung, there has to be chili. But then chile sich is only a default. Chili, in this case, take the chin adeshaha, kaf chin te padaha. We have the dhatu pada gatau, and we have lung, the ta shabda following. So then, chili takes the chin adesh, apavada for kartari shap, and then anubandha lopaha chutu halantyam, the ikara remains behind, and then we get atopadhayaha, becomes pad plus e, because chin is a nit pratyaha, atopadhayaha. We get pad e ta. And then comes chino look. This is in the angasyadhikaraha, chino look. This is right before the sutram ato he he. Ato he he, which we use all the time. So chino look is the prior sutram. So the anuvritti of look comes into ato he he. Like when we say gacha, patha, those ato he he sutram which we used to remove that he pratyaya. Adantadangat parasya he look. So that is 64105. Chino look is the prior sutram to ato. So maybe you can remember like that. Anuvritti of look comes from chino look into ato he he. Ato he he. Now, one more tiny point here is that we have a lopaha. Lopaha coming down from 6498, but again, Pani says, look, is that we want the entire pratyaya to take, because pratyasya lukshlu lupaha. Pratyasya lukshlu lupaha. I think that's 1161. So it means the entire pratyaya takes look. We don't want any alone tyasya and all that. So luk, shlu or lup means it has to be the entire pratyaya is gone. Otherwise, if we just take, let me just check, Anuvritti from 98. Yeah, Lopaha was coming down, then Hujalbu Herdihi, I think it's Chino Luk Herdiadesha. Anyway, I guess maybe the Anuvritti of Lopa may not be coming down all the way down from here. But in any case, whether Anuvritti is coming down or not all the way down, I think that Lopaha only goes for a couple of rules. Okay. Then again comes this. Okay, in any case, look means that it is the entire pratyaya takes pratyas luk shlu lupaha. The entire affix is gone because the pratyaya ta has a takara akara. We don't want alone test to start applying over here. So we want the entire pratyaya to be gone. So that's why Pani says look, not lopaha. Okay, now very simple sutram, and what this is in the angasya dikaraha. Angasya dikaraha. To create an angam, you require a pratyayaha. Because of what? Yasmar pratyaya vidhi. Tadadi pratyaya angam. Yasmar pratyaya vidhi. Right? So that is so what could be the pratyaya over here? As we just said that, so yasmar pratyaya vidhi tadadi pratyaya angam 1413. So there must be a pratyayaha. There must be a pratyaya which is following, and the pratyaya can only be ta. It can be nothing else, because we just discussed that the chin is only prescribed when the ta shabde pare. So therefore, chino look, even though it doesn't specify which term is to take the look, it has to be the ta shabda only, because the atmapada person purushaika vachanam, because chin only comes when ta follows. So even though the sutram does not specify what is to be taken look, since chin only comes when ta follows, and this is angasya dikaraha, so the angam is relative to the pratyaya ta. Chino look has to be a look only of ta. It cannot be anything else, because that's the only case where chin comes in the first place. So that's how we get the vritti here. It says chin of parasya ta shabdasya luksyat. Followed when following the affix chin, the ta, which is the atmadepada prathama purusha ekavachanam, takes the look elision, and as per pratyas lipshu lupaha, the entire term ta is elided. So we did this in the last class anyway. I'm just repeating one more time. We had pad eta becomes pad e only because the ta shabda takes look, and the entire pratyaya is gone. Pratyas lipshu lupaha. Of course, in adagamaha lung lung rung shvardataha, and then anubandha lopa apadi. This is kartari. This is not bhava karmano. This is kartari. Okay. So somebody, something, someone, apadi means it went. Padakatau. This dhatu is normally used with some upasarga. So udapadi, samapadi, some upasarga is probably normally. This dhatu is notoriously used only with upasargas normally. But this utpatti, sampatti, apatti, vipatti, like that. Upapatti, prapatti. Anyway, this is kartari. Now after this, very quickly, even though the book doesn't have this in full detail, we can look at the next two rules here quickly also. Below the chinte padaha. Below chinte padaha, there are two more rules we can quickly look at. Actually, one more, I think, which is the let's look at just one more only. Deepa jana buddha puriptayi pyayi bhyonyatarasyam. Anyatarasyam. Chinte pada was nitya karyam. And this is anyatarasyam. Before going on to that, let us look at the declension table for, I think we did this in the last class. Let me go ahead over here. Okay, so this chinte pada again one more time is only comes when the ta pratyaya follows. Okay. Only in the prathama purusha ekavachanam you get apadi. When you go to dvivachanam or bahuvachanam, there'll be or in the madhya purusha, uttam purusha, there'll be no chin. You just default to the chile sich. For example, if you take the Pratham Purusha Dvivachanam, you get the, of course, Adagama everywhere, then Pad, and then chile sich, will get Sakaraha and Atam. This dhatu is Anudatta Padeshaha, so because of Ekach Upadesha Anudattat, there will be Nishedha. Always keep this list ready in front of you. Whenever Idagamaha, whenever you have to think of applying 7 to 35, always check this 7 to 10. And Danteshu, we have other Kshuda, Khida, Chida, Tuda, Nuda, Padya. This is the Padya. This is with the Gana Vikaranaha Shan. So, in Nisheda by 7 to 10, we get, of course, Kharicha, Dakarasya Sthani, Charra Adeshaha, Apatsatam, Apatsata. This is the Atmane Padeshvanataha. This Jha takes the Atta Adeshaha. So, Jhakara takes the Atta Adesha, becomes Apatsata, Apatthaha, Yar Jhalo Jhali, Sich Lopaha, Sakar Lopaha, Apatthaha, Apatsatam, same as Apatsatam, Apadvam, here we get Dicha, 8 to 25. All these rules we have done previously, nothing new. These rules are coming into play now, which are 8 to 25, which talk about Sakar Lopaha, specifically the Sakar of Sich. So 8 to 25, 26 we are using right now, Dicha and Jalo Jali. Okay, we also have looked at Rasvadangad, Ita Iti, but right now we're looking at these two, Dicha and Jalo Jali. And then when we finish this table now, Apatsi, nothing special, again Kharicha, and then Apatsvahi, Apatsvahi. So main point is that this chin only comes in the Pratham Purusha Ekavachanam. Okay, let's quickly look at the next rule, even though the book doesn't have in detail as such, but we can look at this next rule, which says that basically what's the same thing we did for Apadi. These roots, they take this chin Anyatarasyam only, but optionally. So this Ebhyaha, Chilesh chin Vasyad, Ekavachane ta shabde pare. So all the same conditions, but it is Va, it is optionally, Anyatarasyam. So when the term Tha, Atmanepada, Pratham Purusha Ekavachanam follow, there is optional substitution of chin in place of chili. When following the verbal root, either Deep, Jana, Buddha, Puri, Apyayane, Taya, or Pyaya. These. Let's take only one example, which is the famous Dhatu Jan, like Ajani, the forms Samajani or Ajani. So means someone was born. Again, right now we are not talking about Bhava Karmanoho. We are talking only Kartari. Because Bhava Karmanoho only comes in 3166. Right now we are talking about 3161. So don't confuse it. This is not the passive form as yet. In the passive, every dhatu will take chin. Will take chin ta shabde pare. So chilesh chin. I mean, the chili will take the chin adesha. So, but that's 3166. Right now we are only looking at 3161. So this one is still Kartari only. So when you look at this derivation for this, the same steps as Apadi which we did. We take this dhatu of course Jani Pradur Bhave, means to be born. This is still Karti Pragaha, Pratham Purusha Ekavachanam. Now, this is Anyatarasyam. So we're going to get two forms now. One is Sich Pakshe and one is Chin Pakshe. Now, Chin Pakshe, let's look at the same steps as Apadi, but we're going to get one extra rule over here to stop this elongation. So let's look at the steps. So Jan plus Lung. Same steps as this one we did over here. Same steps as these. Almost same. Okay. So Jan plus Lung Anubandha Lopaha. Pratham Purusha Ekavachanam. This is Anudatta It. So Anudatta Jnita Atmanipadam. And then Chilungi. Wherever there is Lung, there has to be Chili. And then Deepa Jana Buddhapuri Tai Pyai Bhyonatarasyam. We could optionally get the Chinna Desha in place of Chili. And then Anubandha Lopaha Chutu Halantyam Tayor Lopaha. Now comes the special sutram. Anayor Upadhayaha Vruddhirna Syat Chini Niti Kriticha. Okay. This is a section in the Angasyadhikara now, which we have seen this sutram Anasto Chindaloho. Anasto Chindaloho. So let's see that. Look at this sutram. 7332, that is Anasto Chindaloho. Then Atoyuk Chin Krutoho. Again, Ato Chin Krutoho. Chin and Krutoho. Anuvritti of that comes down into this next two rules over here. Nodattopadeshasya mantasya anachamehe janivadhyascha. So it says no. So this 34 is a negation, is a Nisheda Sutram. Anuvritti of na comes into 35. So 7334, 7335, they are Nisheda Sutra. 7334, 7335. Okay, what are they stopping, right? And that the atopadhayaha vriddhi, which is atopadhayaha is coming down, is not, I shouldn't say coming down, is back here in 72116. Atopadhayaha applies to any angam. Just akara is the upadha, the penultimate letter, because alonkyat puru upadha. So penultimate letter, and if the pratyaya following has this chavarga panchama nyakara or tavarga panchama nyakara as an it, then that penultimate akara takes vriddhyadesha. Now comes a negation which says that, it says na udattopadeshasya mantasya anachamehe and janivadhyoscha. Janivadhyoscha. So just look at the sutram. Janivadhyoscha anayor upadhayaha vriddhir na syat. Chining niti kriticha. This doesn't apply to any pratyaya which is chavarga panchama or tavarga panchama as an it. It applies specifically only to chin or to krit pratyaha, which is nyat, has this nyakara or nakara as an it. So one more time, janivadhyoscha nisheda sutram. Nisheda sutram for that atopadhayaha. It applies only to these two dhatus, jan and vad. Jan and vad. It only applies when the pratyaya following is either chin, which is what we need right now, or a krit pratyaha, which is a nyat, which is nyakara or a nakara as a nit. Right now we have the chin. So this sutram says that anayoho upadhaya vriddhir na. There is no vriddhi substitution in the place of penultimate vowel of jan or vad, and followed by affix chin or a krit affix, which is either nyat or nit. Now the question here came that, of course, jan is straightforward, jani pradurbhave. Now which dhatu vad is being referred to in the sutram by Panini? Okay, now is that the vad adeshaha, okay, that came by that comes by 2443 in place of han? Could it be that one? That's the vad which we know. Okay, so 2443 is, see, hano vada lingi lungi cha, then atmade padeshvanatarasya. So lungi cha, han takes the vada adesha, but this vada adesha is adantaha. So the penultimate letter of vada is not a akara, it's a dhakaraha. Even after you do ato lopaha by 6448, because of achaf person pura vidho 1157, that lopa has sthanivat bhavaha. So even after doing ato lopaha, the penultimate letter, the upadha, is still not the akara, it's the dhakaraha. We're going to see this in a little bit detail later in the class today. We'll do an example of this one also. The bottom line is that we do not need 7335 in the case of this vada adesha which comes in place of han, because that vada is adantaha. There's no question of doing atobadhaya anyway. So then what is being referred to in this sutram then is that, then which could be this vada? There's no other vada that we really know of, is there? So then we have to assume that, I put a note away, the substitute vada which comes in place of han is not being referred to in this sutram. The reason being, vada ends in akaraha. And due to achaf prasin pura vidha, we cannot apply 72116 anyway. There is no need for 7335 in the case of vada. So this sutram must be referring to verbal root vada, which is by default assumed to be in the bhadiganaha. So this is like a nyapakam almost, that there is a vada which requires this sutram. But we are not really, if you look at the Dhatupatha index, if you look at it over here, there is no vada. So there is no, if you look at it over here, see vada and then vana. There is no vada dhatu in the dhatu part as such. The only vada which we know of is this one, hano vada lingi, lungicha, but there we don't need this sutra. So then we must conclude that Panini must be referring to a dhatu vada, which is ending in a dhakaraha, not in a akaraha, and which is now assumed to be in the bhadiganaha. So this is a jnapakam. Like if you see, in fact, if you see some forms of vada being used, which is not the vada coming in place of han, because vada comes in place of han only in certain situations, like in only lingi, lungi cha, then atmadepadeshva natarasyam. So that's all. But if you see vada being like vadishyami, if you see a form like that, tatraivacha vadishya, in fact in Devi Mahatmyam, in the Chandi Patha, even if you chant Chandi Patha, I think chapter 11 of Chandi Patha, tatraivacha vadishyami durgam makhyam mahasuram, Durga Deviti vikhyatan tanme nama bhavishyati. The Devi says, I will kill Durgam makhyam mahasuram. I will kill a mahasura by the name of Durga. That's how my name will become Durga, is what the Devi says. So vadishyami, tatraivacha vadishyami durgam makhyam mahasuram. Now how do we get this form from vadishyami? Because this only is only lingi and lungi cha. We don't have vadishyami otherwise. So how are we going to get the writ following vada? So in cases like this, we may be able to use this sutram as a jnapakam, saying that because Panini has said jani vadhyoscha, and this is not required for the vada adesha which comes in place of han, so there must be another vada, which is dhakaranta dhatuhu, which is we can now assume to be in the bhadigana by default. Okay, so that is the thing about this jani vadhyoscha. Jani is straightforward. This is jani pradurbhave. But this vada is not the vada adesha which comes in place of han. One more time, because that one doesn't require this sutram, that one ends in akaraha. So even after doing the ato lopaha, because of achaf prasin pura vidhau, we don't need this sutram. We cannot apply 72116 anyway. Then, but Panini is still saying jani vadhyoscha. That means there must be another vada ending a dhakaraha, which even though not in the dhatu partaha, we have to then assume it to be in the bhadiganaha. But right now it's straightforward. Right now we have the dhatu jan, we have jan, e, ta. So instead of getting like a form like apadi, now in the case of apadi we applied the atopadhayaha, but in case of jan, that atopadhayaha will now be stopped. But the sutram jani vadhyoscha, don't forget anuvritti of na is coming down from the prior sutram 7334 brings in the nishedha. No is coming down. No dhatupadeshasya mantasya rachameya. So 7335 stops 72116 because we do have the pratyaya chin which is following. Remember 7335 only applies chini and niti kriti. That's all it applies. Okay. So 7035 stops 72116 and then we get chino look, the ta pratyaya takes look, pratyas look shlulupaha, adagamaha, and then anubandha lopaha, ajani. Instead of getting apadi or ajani, we got ajani. Ajani because the atopadhaya was stopped by jani vadhyoscha. When the chin adesha is not, when chin is not done, this is straightforward form, jan plus lung, anubandha lopaha, prathapurusha ekavachanam, anudattagnyata atmanepadam, ta pratyaha, chilungi, wherever there is lung there has to be chili, and then in this case we default to chile sich because the chin was only optional. The sutram had anyatrasyam, so chinabhava pakshe, sich pakshe. Then we just complete the form as usual. We get sich, anubandha lopaha, upadesha janana sikitalantam tasya lopaha, idagamaha, because this chan is a not a anudatta upadeshaha. So we get ardhadhatukasya valadehe, anubandha lopaha, adagamaha, anubandha lopaha, adishapatyaya ajanishta. Nothing special basically, nothing special. Just a chile sich and idagamaha, that's all. Ajanishta. So we get two forms, ajanishta and ajani. Ajani, okay. Now, okay, if you want to look at, okay, let us now, okay, let's go back to the book for a second. Let's see where we are in the book now. We are on the book, so it says a final vowel takes vriddhi because achorniti 72115. This chin is a nit pratyaya. The short medial vowel takes gunadesha, of course, because puganta laghupatasya cha. If chin has sanya of ardhadhatukam, so puganta laghupatasya cha. And final a is changed to I. Finally, because this ato yuk chin krutoho. Sutram is ato yuk chin krutoho. 7333 ato yuk chin krutoho, which we have seen. Let me look at quickly. Ato yuk chin krutoho. Ato yuk chin krutoho. So this says that Adantanam yug agamasya chini niti kriticha. In fact, that's a sutram we just used anuvritti just now. Because this chin kritoho anuvritti was coming down into janivadhyoscha. So this ato yuk, if you adant, this is angasya dikaraha. Adantasya angasya yuk agamasyat chini atva niti kriti. So ato yuk chin kritoho. So when we, in the book we have the example given over here. If you take the dhatu Nya, for example, we get Ajnayi because this Nya takes the Yuk Agamaha. We have 7333 Ato Yuk Chin Krutoho. So basically it takes the Yuk Agamaha. And of course the Adagamaha comes everywhere. If you take a Dhatu Kru, for example, nothing special. When we followed by, we can either do, when we have Kru plus Lung, follow all these same steps. All these same which we just did over here. All these same steps. Actually, before we do that, let us look at the Sutram Chinbhava Karmanoho now, which we did in the last class. I'm just repeating one more time. Chinbhava Karmanoho. So this is a Sutram which applies to any dhatu. Any dhatu, as long as Bhava Karmano is impersonal passive or the passive. Of course, Bhave means if a dhatu is intransitive, it is an object, then the passive will only be what's called impersonal passive in the sense of doing that action. Okay, for example, Maya atra abhavi means the action of being was done by me. It means I was here. Maya atra abhavi, I was here. So that's when this intransitive verb. Maya atra asthayi, I stayed here. Asthayi. So like that, because action of staying or being is intransitive, so that's called bhave. Abhavi, asthayi. Ashayi, I slept. Maya shayi, I slept. So that is dhatu she. Or of course karmani, you can always say Maya dukkham anvabhavi. I was sorry. Means unhappiness was experienced by me. Maya dukkham anvabhavi. Anubhu becomes transitive. So anvabhavi. So chinbhava karmano says chilesh chin syad bhava karma vachani ta shabde pare. So now this applies to any dhatu. This is a very important sutram. Very important sutram. Among the various forms of lung, this is an important form. If you don't know this sutram, you'll be trying to understand what is this form. Abhavi, Ajani, this Akari, Apuri, Adarshi. What are these forms? So this is a very important sutram. Otherwise, it'll be difficult to figure out what this form is. So Chinbhava Karmanoho applies to any dhatu. So following any dhatu, Chilesh Chin Syat. Bhava Karma Vachani, again, ta shabde pare, let's not forget that. Still only Prathama-purusha Ekavachanam. Of course, Bhava, when you say Bhava, it has to be Prathama-purusha Ekavachanam only. Because Bhava signifies an action being done. It's a single action. So there cannot be any connection with Yushmad or Asmad. It has to be Prathama-purusha. And it's a single action. It has to be Ekavachanam. So Bhava is always Prathama-purusha Ekavachanam. Never forget that, please. This Bhava means it has to be Prathama-purusha Ekavachanam. You're talking about an action. It cannot be you or I. It has to be a third person action. It's a single. It's one action. Prathama Purusha Ekavachanam. But karma can be anything. It can be, So, but in order to get chin, it has to be Ekavachanam only. It cannot be Prathama. It has to be Prathama Purusha Ekavachanam only. Okay. So, Ta shabde pare. Substitution of chin in place of chiliun followed by the term ta. This is Atmanepada Prathama Purusha Ekavachanam when used in the passive. So when you take the dhatu bhu and follow in the case of bhave, because this cannot be karmani, this intransitive verb, you follow all the same steps as before. Bhu plus lung, anubandha lopaha. In this case, bhava karmano. You don't have to check what the dhatu is, bhu is parasripadi, atmanipadi. You don't have to worry about the anudatta, it or etc. because this is passive. So bhava karmano, you can only get atmanipadam. So When we say bhave can only be ekavachanam, pratham purusha ekavachanam, so pratyaya has to be ta. Then chi lungi, wherever there's lung, there has to be chili. Instead of getting chile, sich, we get chin bhav karmano. And then of course anubandha lopaha, chitu halantyam. And then chino look, we just talked about that. This ta pratyaya takes the look, and because of the pratyas looks to lopaha, the entire ta shabda is gone, ta pratyaya is gone. And then after that we get achoniti. Achoniti, because this pratyaya chin is a nit pratyaya. The ending vowel takes the vriddhya desha, becomes bhau. And then of course echo yava yavaha becomes bhavi, adagamaha, dung dung rung shvradataha, and then abhavi. Okay. Now similarly we can get the form adai when we use chin bhava karmano. Sorry. Atoyuk chin kritoho. Now let's go to the book and see where we are. We are so kru, if you take kru and follow all these same steps for kru, what we could do at this step is that we can either do achod niti, uran raparaha, make it kar. If you take dhatu kru, make it kar. Or what we could do even better is that we can take the sarvadhatuka ardhatuka yoho gunadeshaha, make kru into kar, and then do atopadhayaha 72116, make it kar. So one more time, if you take dhatu kru instead of bhu, if you take kru, follow all these steps up to this point, make it kru e. Then we have a choice. We should, being parakaryam, we should apply 7384 sarvadhatuka ardhatuka yoho, make it kar, and of course uran raparaha, make it kar e. Then do atopadhayaha 72116, make it kar e. Then adagamaha, make it akari. So basically, if you to derive the form akari, all these same steps, except we have to use sarvadhatuka ardhatuka yoho, uran raparaha, and then 72116 atopadhayaha akari. Ashravi, same steps as abhavi, which we just did, achonyati. Then amochi, only puganta laghupatasya cha, amochi. Very straightforward forms. Aveshi, same thing, puganta laghupatasya cha. Ajnai, we have to make it yuk agamaha by 7333, which we saw over here, which is ato yuk chin krutoho, yuk agamaha, ajnai, because nya ends in akaraha. And then anai, same thing as ashravi or abhavi, which is achoniti becomes ni, becomes nai, echo yava yavaha becomes nai, so anai means idam pustakam maya anai, atva pitra ajna anai, my father brought this book, idam pustakam pitra anai. Okay, so that is beyond this page. Now the next page, when we look at the top of the next page, the last page in this book, okay, the short will always lengthen. This of course is the atopadhayaha. Now pad becomes apadi. We went through that. So whether pad is active or passive, in the active sense we have to use chinte padaha. In the passive we can use chinbhava karmanoho. Now this is where in the last class towards the end I caused some confusion. He says except in gum. Now I said this is not exactly correct because there's nothing special for dhatu gum when we use. Remember that sutram which we use, which is the mitam hrasvaha. That mitam hrasvaha is only naupare. The mitam hrasvaha, which is 6492, mitam hrasvaha. That is only nau. So, like for example, asato ma sad gamaya. So gamaya, you don't get gamaya because of mitam hrasvaha. Now, how do we know which dhatu is a myth, which is not a myth? This section in dhatu pata, ghatadayo mitaha. We've been through all this, nothing new. We've been through all of this, and in that there is a Ganasutram. There's a Ganasutram which says that Jani Jirush Knasu Ranjo Mantascha. Okay, let's go to the document here now. Okay. See, we have, see this Gana Sutram here. Jani, Jirush, Knasu, Ranjo, Mantascha. So these specific dhatus like Jani, Jirush, Knasu, Ranja and Amantascha. In dhatu ending in like gum, that is a myth. But that has no bearing when you add the chin affix, because that mitam haswa is only naupare. So when you form the passive form using dhatu gum, will become agami only. Just like apadi will get agami. There'll be no, it says except in this. But then I realized at the end of last class, if you make it a causative form from gum, then we'll get the forms agami, agami. Okay. So let's go through that. So at the end of last class, I caused some confusion. Sorry about that. Towards the end of the class, I always have to be more careful. See, I looked at this statement in the book and I said that we have to make a correction here. There's no exception for gum. Because even though gum ends in and by this Gana Sutram, it is a mit dhatuho, but that doesn't have any bearing when chin follows. Because that mitam hrasvaha is only for when the ni pratyaya follows. Mitam hrasvaha. Advritti of now is coming down. Okay. Even the next sutram, Chinnamulo dirghonyatarasyam. Okay. Chinnamulo dirgo. Let's look at that sutram for a second. 6493. Because that specifically mentions chin. Let's see what we can say about that. Let us look at that sutram over here. Chinnamulo dirghonyatarasyam. That is 6493. 6493. Let's see here. Chinnamulo dirghonyasarasyam. That also says chin pare, namul pare chan now. It requires the ni pratyaya to be there. So even 6493 which specifically mentions chin. Chinnamulo dirghonyasarasyam, it still requires the ni to be there, followed by chin, not just chin. So when we just have a Shuddha Dhatu, a non-causative form, there will be no exception. It will be just like we got apadi, we get agami. Okay, so, but if you make a causative form from that now, then we'll get optional form agami, agami. So towards the end of, so let's look at the sutram. Chin namulo dirgho nitrasam says chin pare, which is fine. Namul pare, which you don't need right now. Now, mitam upadhaya dirgho vasyat. So still this now. So optional elongation of the penultimate vowel, which is a myth, and is followed by ni, which in turn is followed by either chin or namul. Okay. So that is this 6493. So we only get the optionality of gami and gami. Agami, agami, I should say. Agami, agami. But that is only when the ni affix is there. Okay. Let us go here and let us go to the Sutra doc and let's look at these forms. Before going there, let us maybe consider one more sutram here. Okay, you know what, let's not confuse anymore. Let us go to our this document here. Okay, let's say we take dhatu gamrgatau. If it is not causative, then there's nothing special. We do all these same steps that we did for apadi and we get the same form agami. So the non-causative, there is no exception. We just get agami. Because one more time, mitam rasvaha and the following sutram, it only applies when the affix ni is used. When we just use gum plus in bhavakarmanoho, gum plus the, bring in chili and do chin bhavakarmanoho, gum chin the, there is nothing to stop atupadhaya. You'll get the form agami only. So yes, in the book, please make a correction that this one here is, we should not have any exception for the Shuddha Dhatu, become agami only. But when we bring in the causative now, Then what happens is that we bring in the causative. Then what happens is that, let's go through the steps for that. We get gum plus nich, anubandha lope e chutu halantyam, and then we get the form gami atopadhayaha, but then we get mitam rasvaha, because we got the pratyaya nich here. Because by the Gana Sutram Jani Jirush Nasuranjo Mantascha, this Gamru is a myth, as if it has Makara as an it has Makara as an it. So then we get the Mitam Rasvaha. Upada Rasva we get. So we get Gami. And Gami gets Dhatu Sanya Vasanadhyanta Dhatavaha. Now we take Gami and add Lung. You know, Bhava Karmanoho. Karmani, if you take Pratham Purusha Ekavachanam. Karma, I should say Karmani. Karmani when you take Pratham Purusha Ekavachanam. And then Anubandha Lopaha, add the third because of Bhava Karmanoho Atmane Padam. Okay. And then when we bring in Chilungi, and by Chin Bhava Karmanoho, we bring in Chin because Tha Shabde Pare. One more thing to note here is that, remember the Sutram 3148, Nishridrisrubhyah Kartari Chang, that's Kartari Chang. This, even though we have the Nich affix here, even though we have the Ni, so but that Nishridrisrubhyah Kartari Chang, so that cannot apply because right now we talk about Karmani. So just as a reminder that this Sutram Nishri Drusrubhyah Kartri Chang cannot be used here because we are talking about Karmani right now. So now we proceed, and now what happens is that by 6493 we get an optional elongation back over here. Optional elongation. The Akara becomes the Akara optionally. That's by 6493, which is that Chinnamulor and Dirgonyatarashyam. Chinnamulor Dirgonyatarashyam. So this is where we get the form Agami, Agami, when we are in the causative. We are in the causative. So that is the sutram over here. One more time. Chin pare, namul pare, chan nau. Mitam upadhaya dirgho vasyat. This was the confusion at the end of last class. So again, I'm sorry for that. Is that this optional Agami, Agami is only in the causative. When it's non-causative, there's no exception. We only get the form Agami. Okay, so we can finish this one now. So we get Gami, Gami, but because of this sutram, Chinnamulor Dirghonyatarashyam, but that still requires the need to be there. Okay, remember that. So Anuvritti of now is coming down. Anuvritti of now is coming down from here, from the from Dosho now from here. So that still comes into here. So that's what was the end of last class. We stopped over here. And then of course we get Anubandha Lopaha, Chittu Halantyam, and after that we get Niraniti, Anirada, Ardhatuke Pare, Nel Lopasyat. I must have said this 100 times in the class already, 1,000 times, 6451. I've heard it from my teachers 1,000 times. 6451. Anirada Vardhatuke Pare Ne Lopasyat. Of course, Chin does not begin with a one letter. So even though it is Ardhatukam, it cannot take Idagama because Idagama is only Ardhatuka Valadehe. Valadehe. So therefore, there is no Idagama possibility for Chin. So the prior Nich Pratyaya drops by Niraniti. And now again, why can we not apply Atupadhaya again to Gam? Because this ni which went away has sthanivad bhava. Achaf parasyan pura vidhav. If you make ajadesha, aj is in place of an ach, in this case a nich taking lopaha, that is sthanivad bhava. Pura vidhav. When you want to do an operation prior to it. So when you have a gum, this nich which took lopaha is still there in the eyes of atupadhayaha. Atupadhaya cannot apply here. To make gum into gam again, because of the fact that this by achak prasin pura vidhav, this ikara of nich has sthanivad bhava when it comes to an operation to be performed prior to it. So basically 72116 cannot apply because of achak prasin pura vidhav. And then we go chino look, tashabdasya look, so pratyasya looks to lupaha, adagamaha, and then Anubandha Lopa. So we get Agami, Agami. Okay. So basically in the book, please make a note and correction from last class is that there's no exception for Gam in the non-causative. It's just agami, just like apadi agami. But if you look at a causative form, then because of Sutram 6493, Chinnamulo Dirgo Nitrasyam, you get two forms, agami, agami in the causative. Before going to Racha and Vada, let's just look at this one more sutram which is not in the book. The sutram is not in the book, but anyway, it's in the document here. We can just spend a couple of minutes and just look at this sutram. You know, we just saw the sutram Jani Vadhyoscha, 7335. So specifically for Jani and Vad, we talked about that. The prior sutram Jani Vadhyoscha in Ashtadhyaya is this one. Nodattopadeshasya mantasyana chamehe. Na udattopadeshasya mantasya anachamehe. So again the same context, upadhaya vriddhir na syat. So basically that atopadhaya is stopped. But for what kind of dhatu, what kind of angam is that? First of all require chin to follow or a krut pratyaha, which is nit or nit. Okay, right now we're talking about chin. And then it is for, there is no vriddhi substitution in the place of penultimate vowel for verbal root, which is udattopadesha. Remember, in the manteshu, there are four dhatus anudattaha. Chatvaraha, nihataha, smrita, yamanama, gamarama. Right? So in the case of, we just did the dhatu gam. So that is anudattoppadesha. So that's why we don't have to worry about this sutram. Understand? Because in the case of gam, there is no scope for applying 7334. Because gam is anudattoppadesha. Well, 7334 says applies to dhatu udattoppadesha. I mean, gum ends in a makara, that's fine. But gum is anudattoppadesha because of gama, nama, yama, ramaschattvaraha. Four dhatus. Okay. So therefore, again make one more note in the book is that this gum being anudattoppadesha, this is not subject to 7334. But now when you look at an example with dhatu, let's say dhatu like sham. Take a dhatu like sham, shamu upashame, bhave prayogaha. So someone became quiet, did the action of so. So balakena ashami. Balakena ashami means the act of becoming quiet was done by the boy. Means the boy became quiet. He became calm. He calmed down. So tena ashami, he calmed down. Somebody calmed down. Tena ashami. He became calmed down. Now what happens is that because of nodattopadeshasya mantasya anachamehe, by the way, this is with the exception of dhatu acham, okay, achamanam, to sip water, right? So barring that one dhatu, anachamehe, any other dhatu ending in a makaraha, which is udattopadesha, right? And the following pratyaha, if the angam is such a dhatu, and the pratyaya following either chin or krut pratyaya which is nit or nit, then atopadhaya is stopped. One last time, if you have an angam, it consists of a dhatu which ends in a makaraha, with the exception of acham, any other dhatu ending in a makara except acham, which has to be udattopadesha. It should not be one of these four over here. Should not be. Should actually has to be udattopadesha. So not this yama, nama, gama, rama. And if the pratyaya following either chin or krut pratyaya which is nit or nit, then atopadhaya is not applied. So if we look at the dhatu sham, we go through all the same steps as we did in apadi. We add lung, anubandha lopaha, then bhava karmanoho, pratapurushaika vachanam. This is bhave. Bhave has to be pratapurushaika vachanam. We talked about that. It refers to a action. Wherever this lung, there has to be chili, chilungi. Instead of getting chile sich, we get chin bhava karmanoho, and then anubandha lopaha chutu alantyam. And now what happens is that at this point, we would have had atopadhaya, like we got apadi, we would have had ashami. But this atopadhaya is now blocked because dhatu sham, it ends in a makaraha. It is not the dhatu acham. It is also a udattopadesha dhatu. The akara of sham is udattaha. Okay, so all the conditions for applying 7034 are satisfied. So therefore, now we get atopadhaya is stopped. Atopadhaya is stopped, so we get only this sham only stays, and then of course we get chino luk adagamaha, we get ashami. So one more time we got ashami, not ashami, because of 7334. That does not apply to gum, because gum is anudatta padesha. Please make a note in the book that 7334 does not apply to gum. Gum is anudatta padesha. Now same thing sham, if we were to make a causative form from it now, just like we did in dhatu gum, when you put nich to follow, then what happens is that we get the it's a myth by this Ganasutam Jani Jirushna Suranjo Mantascha. So then we should do Atopadhayaha, and then we do Mitam Hrasvaha, we get Shami. Okay? And now what happens is that, because remember, this Atopadhaya is only start when you have Chin or Nyat Krit Pratyaya. The Pratyaya Nich. Adhikara of Krit starts from where? Kridating. Kridating starts from 3193, I think it is. Kridating. Kridating starts from 3193. Kridating here. So, but the Pratyaya Nich which we are using is Hetumaticha, is comes in 3126. So Nich is not a Krit Pratyaya. It better not be. If it is a Krit Pratyaya, you get a Pradipadika Sanya, a Krit Trita Samasascha. You have to add Supratyaya to that. So Nich is not a Krit Pratyaya. Back, so Nich is coming back here. So this 7334 has no chance when Nich is following. That is only where 7034 only is for Chini, Niti Kriticha. So there is no question of applying when Nich follows. So when we take a causative form, Sham plus Nich, we do Atobadhaya, but then we do Mitam Rasvaha. Come over here. Now what happens is that when we have Shami, we can now follow all the same steps as Gami when we had, and when we take the Prathapurusha Ekvachanam in the passive, we take a Karmani Prayagaha, and then we add the then Chinbhava Karmanoho, and then Chino look. Now comes 6493. 6493 comes and does the Dirgha Anyatarasya, because Chin Namulo Dirgo Anyasarasya. That requires need to be followed by Chin. Need to be followed by Chin. Then if you have the Dhatu which is Mit, again this Dhatu Sham ends in So but the same Gana Sutram which we saw, which is over here, Jani Jirush Knasoranjo. Jani Jirush Knasuranjo Mantash. So basically when we have to derive Ashami in the causative, it's all the same steps as we did for this one, Agami. So that will be the same. But in the non-causative, we'll get Ashami only because of 7334. Well, we get Agami because Gam is Anudatta Padesha. Otherwise, in the causative, the same steps we follow, we get the Chinnamulo or Dirgonyatarasyam because Sham is a myth, so it becomes Shami. And then, of course, Niraniti. Nirada Varadake Parene Lopasyat Adagamaha Ashami. Okay, now let's go back to the book. So basically no difference between Gam and Sham in the causative, but non-causative, because of 7334, Sham you get Ashami, Gam you get Agami. So we can make the note in the book, the 7334 does not apply to Gam. Now Racha, what happens in case of Racha is that Racha is a Adanta Dhatu. Remember in the Dhatu Pataha, these Dhatus from Kathadayaha, Adantaha, in the Dhatu Pataha, look at all these Dhatus from Katha, which I think is Vakya Prabandhe, is number 389. All Dhatus from here are Adantaha. So this is from 389 onwards, this Dhatu Racha is Adantaha because it's 403. From 389 onwards, every dhatu in the Churadigan has Adantaha from Katha onward, Kathadaya Adantaha. So now when we add this Swarte Nich by Churadibhyo Nich Satya Papasha Ityadi Churadibhyo Nich, and what happens is that Anubandha Lopaha Chutu Halantyam Tayo Lopaha Ato Lopaha Ardha Dhatu Ke. This adhikara of ardhadhatuke, which starts from 6446, the sutram atolopaha. Atolopaha. Ardhadhatuke. Very simple sutram. Adantasyangasya lopasyat. We get alontyasya. The ending akara takes lopaha. 6448 atolopaha. So we get the form rachi. Now, why can we apply atopadhayaha? Same thing. Because of the achaf person pura vidhav, this akara which took lopa is sthanivad bhavaha. It comes to an operation to be done prior to it, and so the akara, as far as atopadha is concerned, the akara is still there. So it sees the chakara only is upadha. It cannot do any vriddhya adesha. So because of 1157, achaf person pura vidhav, the akara is sthanivad bhavaha. When it comes to an operation like atopadhayaha, which is trying to do upada vriddhi. So the upadha remains chakara as far as 72116 is concerned. So then we get the dhatu sanya, sarajanta dhatavaha, all the same steps again. Add lung, karmani, la, and then we look at ta. Remember, chin bhava karmano is only ta shabda. Remember one thing about chin, it's only when ta shabde pare, okay? So which is atmane pada pratham purusha ekvachanam. Otherwise, the remaining cases, there is no chin. So, let's look at pratham purusha ekvachanam. Chi lungi, wherever there is lungi, there has to be chili. And then instead of getting the chile sich, we get chin bhava karmanoho, to shabde pare. And then same thing, that 3148, nishridrasrubhya kartari chang. That's kartari chang. Chang is only kartari. We do have nich over here, but we cannot use that sutram nishridrasrubhya kartari chang. That's only kartari. That time we look at karmani. And then anubandha lopaha for chin chutu halantyam tayor lopaha. Then we get the same thing, niraniti anirada vardhatuke pare ne lopasyat. Ikara goes away, chin cannot take idagama, it's not valadi. So that's that. And then again same thing is that because of sthanivad bhavaha, we cannot apply 72116 because that nich lopaha also has sthanivad bhava, the ikaraha. So we cannot do niraniti, we cannot do atopadhayaha. Same idea, this ikar lopaha has sthanivad bhavaha. It comes to an operation to be done to the left of it. So this ikara is here. So when it comes to atopadhayaha, the upadha is still chakaraha. So we cannot do atopadhayaha. Then chino look, and then patyas luk shlupaha adagamaha, we get arachi. So basic reason why we got arachi and not arachi, because racha is adanta dhatu. Nothing special about racha as such, like akathi, any dhatu which adanta, like that, you're going to get this form. So I don't know why specifically he has put racha. Maybe it's because it's a more common dhatu, maybe. Just put, but the reason for getting, and this this is not rach, it's racha, okay. So here, because of the achaf parasin pura vidhav, we cannot do atopadhayaha. So this is the churadi ganaha, so becomes rachi. It's adanta dhatu. So make a correction, it should be racha, not racha. Now vadha. Now vadha is, we just talked about that, just like we got ajani, we'll get avadhi. Okay. In fact, let's look at that for a second. We'll come to that. Let's look at the next. Let's look at the dhatu han. Let's look at dhatu han. When we look at dhatu han, himsagatyo, of course, when we go through the same steps, look at a passive form, karmani, if you take, bring the pratyaya lung, but the sutram lung, anubandha lopaha. Again, let's look at the pratapurusha ekvachanam, because that's the only case where chin will come in. So by bhava karmanoho, get the ta pratyayaha. And then wherever the lung, there has to be chili. So chi lungi. Instead of getting chili sich, we get chin bhava karmanoho, alubandha lopaha. Now what happens is that we get the sutram 7354, which is what? Ho hanter ninyeshu. Ho hanter ninyeshu. All these rules which this is not specific to chin. It happens to apply here also. Ho hanter ninyeshu. Ho hanter ninyeshu. The hakara of han takes a kavarga adesha. Hakara is a mahaprana, it's a mrudavarnaha. It's a hush letter. So you're going to get the chaturtha varna. Gakara adesha. When what? When the pratyaya following is either a chavarga panchama nyit or a tavarga panchama. Nakara is a nit. So that is the situation. Or when followed by nakara directly. So ho hanter nin nyit neshu. Nin neshu. So that when the pratyaya should be following should be either tavarga panchama or chavarga panchama as a nit, or it should be a nakara following directly. One of these two. Now, right now we have chin. So chin is a nit pratyaya. So that's why we can apply sutram and we get a gakara adesha. Ho hante ninnishu 7354. Now, 7332 says hanasto chinnaloho. Like in Gita, kam ghatayati hamtikam vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. Ghatayati comes in Gita. Now, why not the same thing here also? Why do we not get aghati instead of aghani? Because that says hanasto chinnaloho, achinnaloho. Achinnaloho. In Bhagavad Gita, you can form ghatayati, causes to kill, causes to kill. Kam ghatayati hantikam. So, chapter 2, number 21. It's also dhatu han. It's taken the pratyaya nicha. So, we have this, the kakara still comes. Because nich also has the nakara as a nit. But this chin, when chin follows, this sutram 7332 cannot apply because hanaha, taha, achinnaloho. So that's why we don't get this sutram over here. So we have to watch out for this one. Even though we get with the form ghatayati, the causative, here we'll get only form aghati, aghani, not aghati, because when chin follows, that takara adesha does not take place. Hanasto chinnaloho. This sutram, if you want to look at quickly, 7332, 7332, 7332, 7332, 7332. It says that hantehe takara antadesha syat chinnal varje niti niti. So pratyaya should be either chavarga panchama nyakara as a nit or tavarga panchama nakara as a nit, but should not be the chin or the hanasto chinnaloho or the pratyaya nal like jaghana. Like in the lit prathamurusha ekavachanam we get jaghana. We don't get jagatha, we get jaghana. Jaghana. So that null pratyaya or chin pratyaya, when these follow, then this nakara fund does not take takara adesha. Otherwise, when any other pratyaya, which is nit or nit follows, it gets the takara adesha. Right now we have chin following, so we cannot apply hanasto chinnaloho. And then of course we get the atopadhayaha, then same thing, chino look, tashabdasya look pratyas look shlupaha, adagamaha, we get aghani. Now what happens is that optionally we get this vadha adesha by this sutram atmanipadeshvanatrasyam. Remember back here we looked at 2444. 2443 we have seen. 2443 says lungicha. Han takes vadha adesha, becomes avadhit, lungi. But atmanipadeshvanatrasyam, if atmanipadam follows, that vadha adesha is optional. Okay. So now, right now, of course, because of bhavaka, we are looking at a passive form. By bhavakarmanoho, we are going to get atmanipadam only. So this is an optional form now. So we derived the form aghani without doing the vadha adesha, because 2444 says atmanipada pratyaya follows, then the vadha adesha for han is optional. This is all lungi, we're talking about lungi only, but atmanipadeshvanatrasyam. So now we get this, when we do the vadha, and this vadha adesha, adanta adesha, we just talked about that in the class today. So we do vadha plus go through all the same steps, chinbhava karmanoho, anubandha lopaha. Now same thing here, is that, no, there's a typo, there's a typo here, I'm sorry. It should be 6448, okay. There's a typo here. Ato lopaha ardhadhatuke. And then 72116 cannot apply here because of the same thing, achaf prasin pura vidhau. You see how important this sutram is, achaf prasin pura vidhau. Ajadesha, when adesha is done in place of an acha, that is sthani vadbhava. Pura vidhau means when something to the right is trying to operate across it to the left, this aja adesha is sthani vadbhava. Very important sutram. Achaf prasin pura vidhau. Achaf prasin pura vidhau. Let's see if I can show it to you here. Achaf Paraswin Pura Vidhao. Achaf Paraswin Pura Vidhao. Achaf Paraswin Pura Vidhao. Paranimitto Ajadesha. Ajadesha which is done by something which is following. Sthanivat. Sthani Bhuta Dachaha Purvatvina Drishtasya Vidhau Kartavye. So we have Paranimitta Ajadesha. What do we have right now? We have this beautiful Vritti by Bhattacharya Dikshita and Siddhanta Kaumudi. So which is that if we have this chin, based on chin we did the Ato Lopaha, because Ato Lopa is Ardhadhatuka, it's based on chin. That has now is going to be of Sthanivatta. When it says that Sthani Bhuta Dachaha Purvatvena Drishtasya Vidhau Kartavye. When you want to do an operation to the prior to it, so Atopadhaya has a potential operation, we will do it. This Akara which took Lopaha as Sthanivat Bhavaha. So this 72116 cannot act because the Upadha remains Dhakara in the eyes of 72116. So because the Akara has Sthanivat Bhavaha. Now one more thing is that we don't need the Sutram 7335 here, which we saw the Janivadhyoscha, which we saw today in the class, Janivadhyoscha. We just talked about that, is that Sutram we don't need over here, because Vada is this Vada Adesha, which comes in place of Han. That is the Adanta Adesha. So there is no need. There is no need for 7335. 7335 is no need, because that is because of Achaparaswin Pura Vidhau, we cannot apply 72116 anyway. But if we go through all these steps, and if we do take the Dhatu Vad, which is supposed to be in the Bhavadi Ganaha, then we'll, just like Ajani, we'll get Avadhi there also. Avadhi. There you will need this Sutam Janivadhyoscha. If you were to use the Dhatu Vad, Dhakaranta Vad, which is assumed in the Bhavadi Ganaha, then we can use this Janivadhyoscha and get the form Avadhi, just like we got Ajani. But if we are talking about the Vada Adesha in place of Han, that Vada Adesha, Adanta Adesha, we don't need this one here. We already stopped this one because of 1157. And then of course we get the Chino Luk, Pratyas Luk Shlupaha, Adagamaha, we get Avadhi. So we get two forms, Aghani and we get Avadhi. We get two forms because this Vada Adesha is optional. Atmanipadesha Natrasyam. So when Atmanipadam follows, we get the optional Vada Adesha. Then in the book he has given one more, I think he has given the form for Dhatu Rabha, Rabharabhasye. Nothing special too much here. Rabha is to begin. So you can say Idam Prakaranam. So you can say Arambhi. Guruna Idam Prakaranam Arambhi. This topic was started by the teacher. So was Arab. So Rab mainly it is Prayana Ang Purvaha. It's begin with Arab. Arab is to begin. Now there's only one special. We go through all these same steps. We add Lung. In the Karmani, something is being started. And then it can also be Bhave. Is the act of starting was done by the Guru. So Guruna Arambhi means the Guru started doing something. The action of starting was done by the Guru. But so Bhava Karmano, either one. Add Lung, Anubandha Lopaha, Upadesha Nasikitalantam Tasya Lopaha. And then because of Bhava Karmanoho, Atmanipadam, let's look at the Pratham-purusha Ekavachanam. Of course, Bhave can only Pratham-purusha Ekavachanam, but Karmani, let's look at Pratham-purusha. Karmani can be anything, but let's right now look at the Pratham-purusha Ekavachanam, Chilungi, and then Chinbhava Karmanoho. Then comes the Sutram Rabhera Shablitoho. So Rabhera, look at this number over here, 7163. We already know this Sutram 7158, which is Iditonum Dhatoho. 7158. So Anuvritti of Num is coming down from there. And this says, of course, we also know Shemuchadi Nam. So be familiar with this section. Always keep the Ashtadhyayi map in front of you. It will help you in Vyakaranam a lot. So Rabhera Shab Litoho says Rab, the Angam, consisting of the Dhatu Rab, gets the Numa Agamaha, but not if Shab or Lit follows. So like Arabate, and Shab is used and no Num, but if Shab or Lit is not used, And Rabbi takes the Num Agamaha 7163. Rabhera Shablitoho. Rabhera Shablitoho. This should be here. I think we have the sutram here. 7163. Rabhera Shablitoho. It says that Rabher Num Syad Achi. Or should be Ajadi Pratyaya. Excuse me, one thing. Always check the vritti. Always give the vrittikara his dues. He spent his life for us to put the vritti in extremely precise form so we can understand the sutram correctly. So Rabher Num Syad Achi. Natu Shablitoho. So this verbal root Rabarabhasya takes Numagamaha for Ajadi Pratyaha, but not if Shap or Lit follows. Right now we have Chin following, which is Ajadi because Anubandha Lope. Anubandha Lope Ikaraha. So Rabhera Shablitoho, of course, Midachontyat Paraha. This Num comes after the last Achin Rab, the only Achin Rab which is after the Akaraha. So Rabhera Shablitoho. And then Anubandha Lopaha, Upadesha Nasikit, Lanjam Lopaha. Then Chutu Halantyam, the chin becomes Ikaraha. Then the same thing, Chino, Look and Adagamaha, Arambhi, Arambhi, A plus Arambhi. Then we had Ranbhi, and then we have to do the Nashchapadantasya Jali, Nuswarasya Parasavaranaha. We get A, so A plus Arambhi, and then Akasame Dirgha Arambhi. Basically, nothing special here. Only thing is a specific sutram, Rabhera Shabditoho, but the Num Agamaha by 7163 because the chin is Ajadi. When we take out the ith letters, Anubandha Lope, it is not Shap or Lit, so Rabbi takes the Num Agamaha. We get Arambhi. Arambhi, and then it is mostly used with the Upasarga Ang, so it becomes Arambhi. Okay, now so that's what we have in the book over here, which is this form. He says Rabba has Arambhi, and if you add the Upasarga A, which is mostly used with this dhatu, we get Arambhi. Now this one here, I think we have to make a correction here. I think Pru will not become Apuri. It will become Apari only. Just like Kru became Akari, Pru will become Apari. So this I think we have to make a correction here to the best of my knowledge. This is not this dhatu Pru. Pru will become Apari. Because we'll do Sarvadhatakaradhakayoho, Atopadhayaha, of course Urandraparaha. Sarvadhatakaradhakayoho, Urandraparaha becomes Par, then Atopadhaya becomes Par, becomes Pari. But we can use dhatu Puri, we can use. In fact, I think we just put today's post. If you look at today's post, see June. See, I think today's post is Apuri. Yeah, Apuri here. Today's post itself, we put this one, Apuri. So if you look at the post for June 6, 2000, which is today, Apuri form you will get if you use this dhatu, Puri Apyajne. Okay, it's the similar meaning is to fill. And then of course here the Ukara is not Lagu, because Dirgha, so Dirghascha. So this is a Guru. So therefore there is no question of using any Puganta Lagu Patasya cha. So this one we can get. So because Dirghancha it is Guru. So we can get the form Apuri from this dhatu Puri Apyane. We use the same steps, all the same steps. Chin Bhava Karmanoho, then Chino Look, Adagamaha, we get Apuri. But if we had the dhatu Pru, I don't think we can get Apuri, we'll get Apari only. Just like Kru, we got Akari. Now, so that, okay, let's go to this document. Now, we already went to this form Akari. We did the Sarvadhatakaradhakayoho, Urandraparaha, nothing special really. Atopadhayaha, Akari, Ashravi, Anai, we just use Acho Niti, Acho Yavayavaha. We already went to this is from the prior page. We already went to this. Amochi, Aveshi, just Puganda Luguputasya cha, Ajnai, Adai, if you take Atoyuk Chinkrutoho, and Agami, just the Atopadhayaha. So that completes pretty much everything in the book. Of course, the verbs with the 10th conjugation and causatives drop the final aya. Basically, what he means is the nearity. because this chin has sanya of ardhadhatukam anubandha lope ikara. It is not valadi, cannot take a idagamaha. So anirada vardhadhatuke parine lopasyat. And then, of course, we also mentioned a few times already that this sutram nishrid this subject kartari chung. It cannot be used because it says kartari. And the last thing here, of course, in the beginning of the class itself, we talked about is the aorist without the augment is with ma in the sense of imperative, ma karshi. We've had many posts on this ma bhu in Gita. We already discussed this in the class, in the previous classes, because we had the over here. When we start the lung prakranam itself, we talked about mangi lung, we talked about namang yoge. So a few classes back, in the beginning itself, we talked about this. We discussed when in the various senses in which lung is used, when we introduce the sutram lung, at that time itself, we discussed these rules, which is way back here. Here it is. Yeah, mangi lung. In the sense of prohibition, you can use when mang is present in upapadam and mangi upapade and namang yoge. Namang yoge, we discussed those. Yes, Anuj.
Satishji, in the first few classes when we were doing abut, at that time,
yes,
if we were going to use the G pratyaya, the plural form, we don't use 3, 4, 9, but we are using Anta, right? Well, why is that?
No, wait, Abu one we got. You're talking from Abu one, is that one?
No, Abu one, yeah.
Abu, because you get the Vuk Agamaha, right?
Yeah, that I understand.
Okay.
But why don't we use that 34109,
Okay, 34109, 1 second. Yeah. Because that Niyama Sutram, right? Ataha. We went to that. Okay, let's go through that one.
I didn't understand that portion.
Okay. Yes. So this one says here, 3, 4. Okay. Anuji, in fact, I'm glad you asked the question. You are going to have the honor of finishing this class. You are the long-standing member, the most sincere member of this class. So you are on the last lesson, last page. So Shakuntalam will be all your homework now.
Oh, no.
No, don't worry. I put all the notes in the document, so we have a lot of notes. In fact, yes, we have some good books, and we also have the Tika. Also, it's a good translation of this Shakuntalam by Monere Williams. Monere, who wrote the dictionary, Monere Williams. He has a good translation of Shakuntalam. So anyway, coming back to your question first, the 34109. I was going to say, because Vain is not here, but you are the anchor of this class, Shanku. So 34109, that has a Niyama Sutram, Ataha. That's, we look 34110. See, that is Ataha. You see, let's look. I think we discussed it here itself. Chivuddif Parasam Pareshu, Neti.
Who does not end in Akara.
Yeah, that's the thing. So,
yeah.
Okay, let me search for it here. Ataha. 34110. That's the Niyama Sutram. It says Ataha says that Sijluki, when Sijluk has taken place, Adantad eva jerjus. So this limits when the affix Sich has taken Luk elision, substitution by Sijabhyasta vidibhyascha, right?
Yeah.
So now see Sijabhyasta vidibhyascha, right? It says when preceded by Sich or when Abhyastam or the Dhatu vid. Now Ataha says that if it is preceded by a Akaraha, So now how can we have a Akara preceding and Sich preceding at the same time? The Sich must have taken Luk. And then if you have Adanta Dhatu, like a form, I think we looked at a form after that. So anyway, when we looked at Abhu 1, right? When we come over here, see this Bhu is not ending in a Akara. That's the reason. So the Niyama Sutram says that after Sich Luk is done, for G to become Jus, we have to have the Dhatu in Akara. So Sijluki, Adanta Deva Jejus. So that limits the application of 34109 in the case of Sich look. So when Sich takes look, then we have to have Adanta Dhatu to apply 34109. So that's the. But so for example, if when we took the other Dhatu, I think we took this Ga, right? Here we get where we got the Aguho. See here, since Ga does not end in Akaraha, of course we use Galungi, but there we do get the Jusadesha, because Ga, the same sutram, Gatistha Gupa Bhubhya Sichaf Parasya Padesho, Sich look, but then this is Akaraha, so we could use the Jusadesha. So that 34110 limits 34109 in the case of Sich look only. It limits it. The dhatu has to be Adanta Dhatu to apply that sutra.
If we have G Dhatu, Satishji, G Dhatu.
G.
Then
G
Ajay.
Oh, you mean G Jaye to conquer?
Yeah, that G if we have.
Well, then it's not Adanta Dhatu. You cannot use that sutram. Sijabhyasta with Ibhyascha anyway.
But I thought in the book that was the example given, J.
Okay, let's check it. Which way you're talking? The Antoine Book. Which page are you on?
No, it's in another book, which is the explanation. I don't know what to call that book.
Okay, you mean in Bhaimi Vakya?
It's called Panini Virachita Ashtadhyayi by Ishwar Chandra.
Oh, Ishwar Chandra. Okay, Ishwar Chandra. Okay.
Yeah.
We take a dhatu G you're looking at, is it?
G, yeah.
Okay, G.
If we look at G,
okay.
And yeah, followed by G.
Okay, so in what final form are you getting there?
I think it is Ajay Shuhu, or 1 minute, I'll let you.
Okay. 191. Let me look at it. I'm looking at the dhatu vritti. First of all, this ataha is only
Ajay Shuhu, Satishji.
Yeah, but thing is, remember 34110 only in the case of Sig look.
Right. Okay. Now I get it.
Yeah, but if there's no Sig look, then there's no niyamaha. Understand? So this niyamaha is only when Sich look has taken place.
When Sich look, okay. In G there is no Sich.
There's no Sich look, no Sich. Okay. Then there's 34119 cannot be stopped then, because there's no Sich look. Yeah.
Fine.
So 34110 is only in the concept of Sich look only. Okay. So anyway, good. So Sakuntalam is going to start. So it's going to be your section now, Naji. So get ready. But no, don't worry. We have all the notes for you. So, but we will. You'll have the honor of ending this class. We probably have maybe 2 more classes left, maybe 3 at the most. But anyway, so we'll be happy to have you do the honor. Okay, let's look at this one last form here. So what Anuji was saying is that 34110 does the niyamaha for 34109, but only in the case of Sich look. Otherwise, no. Otherwise, 34110 is only in the context of Sich look. Look at the vritti. Vritti says here. Vritti says Sig looki only 34110 comes into play. Okay. Last form. I just wanted to remind you of this sutram. Let's take dhatu bhu. Let's end the book on a complicated form. So let's take anubhu is to experience, anubhavaha, etc. So we take karmani. For example, as I said, maya dukkham anvabhavi, maya sukham anvabhavi. I was happy. Happiness was experienced by me. We take karmani, and we take that. Now, when we take a dvivachanam, rather than taking ekvachanam, let's take dvivachanam. So we'll not get the chinbhava karmanoho. Maya sukha dukkhe. If you take, happiness and sorrow is experienced by me. Okay. What form will we get? So let's take the dvivachanam now. Because ekvachanam you're going to get the chinbhava karmanoho. Okay. But let's take the dvivachanam. Now, reason I'm taking dvivachanam, I want to remind you of one sutra. This is the last form in the book now. So let's take dvivachanam and let's make it atam. Let's say happiness and sorrow is experienced by me. or by us anything. So asmabhi sukha dukhe. And then what should we say now? Let's see what we get. Let's take atam, because again bhavakarmanoho, but dvivachanam. And chilungi, wherever there is lung there has to be chili. And then we get the sich only now, because no chin bhavakarmanoho. That's only ta shabde pare. We're talking about atam right now. So we default back to chile sich. Now chin bhavakarmanoho doesn't apply because it's only ta shabde pare. Now we anubandha lopa for sich, upadesha janana sikit, alantyam, tayor lopaha, and then we get the idagamaha for sich because of ardhadhatu kusyed baladeha, idagamaha. And adyanto takitau, anubandha lopaha, we get is. Remember, this dhatu bhu is not anudatta padesha, it is udatta padesha. How do we know that? Let's go to our list 7 to 10. It says udrudantaihi. So vina ekachaha ajanteshu nihataha smutaha. So remaining dhatus other than these are nihataha anudatta padesha. But udrudantaihi, dhatus ending in ukara and rukaraha, ukara and rukaraha, they are not anudatta padesha. So dhatu bhu. So basically 7 to 10 cannot stop 7 to 35 because bhu is not anudatta padesha. Now what happens is that, how about our sutram gatistha gupa bhubhyasya chaf parasmai padeshu? That's only parasmai padeshu. So sich look, we have to be careful, that's only parasmai padeshu. 72477, the dhatu bhu is mentioned in that sutram, but that is talking about sich look only parasmai padeshu. Because of gatistha gupa bhubhyas chaf parasmai padeshu. Right now we don't have parasmai padam because of bhava karmanoho. In the passive only atmanipadam. So 2477 cannot apply here. Neither can 721 sichivruddhif parasmai padeshu. That's also parasmai padeshu. That also cannot apply over here. So neither 2477, which would have done sich look, but that's parasmai padeshu, nor 721 sichivruddhif parasmai padeshu can apply here. Nor 721 can apply here. So so we continue, and we get sarvadhatgardhakayoho, gunadeshaha becomes bho is, then becomes bhav, okay, adagamaha, so of course bhava echo yava yavaha, adagamaha, abhavisatam, then anubandha lopaha, abhavishatam by adishapatyayo. So straightforward form, there's nothing, and of course then yan sandhi finally will be upasargaha, anva bhavishatam. So we can say asmabhihi sukha dukhe anva bhavishatam. So we experienced happiness and sorrow. Happiness and sorrow was experienced by us. Okay. Now, so there was nothing special in this form. Only thing was that in this form we did not get sich look, we did not get the vriddhi also because that's parasmai padeshu. We did not get chin bhava karmanoho because that's only ta shabde pare. But now comes an optional form, chinvad bhavaha. We can end this book on this sutram. Chinvad bhavaha. Chinvad bhavaha. Remember the sutram which we studied a long time back, 6462. Sya sich siyuttasishu bhavakarmanoho upadeshe ajjanagraha dusham vachinvad itcha. So bhavakarmanoho in the passive. Okay. If you have an angam which consists of a dhatu, which in upadesha, in the dhatu part, it is, or upadesha, shouldn't say dhatu part, upadesha. Upadeshe yo ajja. It should be an ach which is in upadesha. Okay. Dhatu bhu ends in the ukaraha. The ukara is in upadesha in the dhatu part. Or this dhatu han graha drisha. Of course, ajjana, the sandhi rules being done over here. Jayo anyatarasyam. So it is han. Han graha drisha. Right now with dhatu bhu, it ends in ukara. Ukara is ach. It was ach in the upadesha. So then what happens? Va chinvad. Okay. The pratyaya becomes chinvat as if it is chin. And gets idagama necessarily in chinvad bhava pakshe This is optional. But which pratyayas? Sya, secha, siyutta, si. So right now we have sicha. So if we have a sicha which is being used, bhavakarmanoho, following a dhatuho, okay, which ends in a ach, which is an upadeshaha, or one of these dhatus, han graha drisha, then we get chinvad bhavaha and id agamaha, tat sanniyogena. Along with that idagamaha we get to the chinvad bhavaha optionally. So 6462, and it's a complicated sutram, but this is the last form in this book. So I thought we'll end on a complicated note. So here we go, 6462 for you. Chinvad bhavaha, chinvad optionally. So it says that sya sich siyutta sishu bhavakarmano upadeshe ajjana griha drisham vachinvadicha. So upadeshe yo ach which is an upadesha. Tadantana, dhatu ending in such a ach. Or hanadinam cha, this hana griha drisha. Chini iva angakaryam, as if chin is following. Vasyat, optionally. But when sya adishu, when sya, sich, siyut or tas is following. Bhavakarmanoho, yamyamanayoho, in the passive. And syad, syad, syadinam, excuse me. Sya syadinam idagamascha. This sya, etc. When chinvad bhava is there, in the optional case when chinvad bhava is there, you don't have to check the dhatu. When chinvad bhava is there, idagama is necessarily done. So now when we look at this optional form of chinvad bhavaha, because we do have dhatu bhu, it is ending in ukaraha, which is a ach, which is an upadeshaha. We have the sich following. It is being used in the passive. We get chinvad bhava optionally. So now this sich behaves chinvad. So when you follow the same steps up to this point we have anubhu sa atam. Up to that point, same steps. Now what happens is that we get a chinvad bhavaha optionally, and that brings the idagamaha with it necessarily. So of course in this case dhatu bhu is not anudhatu upadesha anyway, but even if it were, when chinvad bhava comes, the it has to be there, idagama has to be there. And then adyantu takitau, anubandha lopaha. Same thing here, we cannot use either the sich look, because sich with gatista gupa bhubhya sich of parasnipadesho, and we cannot use 7 to 1 sich with parasnipadesho, because it's parasnipadesho. Now comes achoniti, because once we get chinvad, then chin is a nit pratyaya. So achoniti makes it bhau. So rather than getting the bho, which we got in the previous case, chinvad bhava pakshe, we get bhau. Then echoyavayavaha, we get bhav, aragamaha, anubandha lopaha, we get, of course, adesha pratyayayoho, and the end sandhi at the end of the upasargaha, anva bhavishatam. So we get bhavishatam. So we're getting bhavishatam, we get bhavishatam. Look at the entire table here. So anvabhavi is a common form, because when chin pratyaya comes chinte padaha, then we get only one form, anvabhavi. But then remaining forms, we get anvabhavi shatam, anvabhavi shata, because of the atmadipadeshu anataha. Then anvabhavi shtaha, one more time. And this is anvabhavi is common, whether chinvad bhava or no chinvad bhava, same thing. But then chinvad bhava abhava pakshe, we get anvabhavishata, anvabhavishata, anvabhavishtaha, anvabhavishatam, anvabhavidvam. Because here the sich, it goes away, sakara goes away, dicha. And then we get the sutra. I told you, we have to end the book with a splash, right? So we have to bring in the most complicated things, which unfortunately are never used in the language really. But 8.3 here, vibhashetaha, 8.379. What we do have is that we have a id agamaha here. Prior to that, we have an in, because in goes all the way up to hayavarat lan. The vakara is an ind. then the prior, then the following, inashidham lunglitam dhongat, that dhakara takes the murdhanya desha optionally, because we have an it, so vibhashetaha. 8379 vibhashetaha. 8379 vibhashetaha. 8379 vibhashetaha. It says that enough paro yah it. So what do we have right now? We have the vakara, which is an in. For that we have, following that we have an idagamaha. Okay. Then tatah paresham shidvam lung litam dasya vadha. So we get the dhattam optionally, murdhanya is optionally, so we get anvabhavidvam, anvabhavidvam. Then of course anvabhavishi, anvabhavishvahi, anvabhavishvavi, bhavishmahi. Now if we take the chinvad bhava bakshe, all this, I mean this form says the same, anvabhavi. But then we get anvabhavishata, anvabhavishata, and so on and so forth. So that completes this Antoine book. I hope you enjoyed these last few complicated forms. This is not in the book, but anyway, I just want to remind you of this sutram 6462, which is, to be honest with you, is not used much at all. It's only in the passive, only for these dhatus. In this case, we have bhu ending in ach, which was in upadeshaha. It's only in bhavakarmanoho, only when these pratyas follow, and it's chinvadva. Okay. Okay, Shakuntalam. Now Shakuntalam, this is the katha. So this finishes this book. This Shakuntalam katha, we still may need this. Okay. We have the vocabulary here which we'll be using. And then this katha is when Dushyantaha, he enters the ashram. Actually, he goes hunting in the forest. And then he happens to stumble on the ashram of the Kandva Rishi. And there, of course, he meets Shakuntala afterwards. But Shakuntala is not in this section which we are doing right now. But so that is this section of this is in Act 1 of Shakuntalam. And this is, I think, verses 6. Let me check. If you have a book you have to follow. Yes, 1.6. 1.6 it starts. Okay. So King Dushyanta's arrival in Kandva's hermitage. So let's read it. Most of this, there should be nothing really new in this. So there might be one or two sutras here and there. Otherwise, everything should be now only revision. Tatah pravishati mruganusari sashara chapahasto raja rathena sutascha. Okay. Tatah pravishati mruganusari sashara chapahastaha raja rathena Sutaha cha. Now this is of course in a drama. So on the stage now comes this simple sentence is Raja Pravishati. Tataha of course is Tadanantaram. Tadanantaram. This after that, then Tataha is an avyam. This is the Sutram. These are very simple forms. Is this Pratyaha Panchamyastasil. Panchamyastasil in beginning of 5.3. Panchamyastasil. So Kim Sarvanama Bahubhyo Dvyadibhyaha, because Panchamyastasil. So that means after that, Tasmadanantaram. After that, this and this gets the Avyasanya by Taditascha Sarvabhaktihi. Taditascha, to get the Avyasanya. So you can practice all these rules now, because the book is over, so we're just practicing. So these, what is called the Panchasutri, these 5 rules, Swarad Nipatam Avyayam, Taditascha Sarvabhaktihi, Kashtya Tata is an Avyayam. So then enters the king, Raja Pravishati. Of course, Pravishati, this is in the Chudadiganaha, because the Pratyaya cannot be Shap, otherwise you would have Puganta Laghupatasya. This Dhatu, Vish, is not going to be in the Vadiganaha. Because if you had Vadigana and Shap, you would get Puganta Laghupatasya, you had Praveshati. So this Dhatu, Vish, is going to be in the Tudadiganaha. Like in the Gita, Sanjayavacha Yamuktvajunas Sankhya Ratopastha Upavishata. Not this chapter 1 last shloka of Gita. So Raja Pravishati, the king enters. And then Sutascha. And so also his charioteer also enters. Rathena. So the king enters on the chariot. So Ratha Rudha. By means of the chariot he enters. Now there are a couple of adjectives to the Raja. He is Mruganusari. He is also Sashara Chapastaha. Very straightforward compounds. Mruganusari. Anusru. Sru is to move, to go. But Anusru is to follow. So he was following a deer. Mruganusarin Pratibadikam. This is... Okay, Anuji, let me warm you up. So what is the sutram for the Upada Dhirgha here? Mruganusarin plus Su. What's the sutram for? Which one?
Saucha.
Saucha sutram. Very good. Saucha. Saucha. So this is always Anuji's copyright. She is a Saubhagyavati, so she gets Saucha. Correct? So, Saucha sutram is Anuji's sutram. Saucha. Now why do you need Saucha, Anuji? Because why can we not use the Savanama Sthani Chasam Buddha?
Why not?
Why not? Because Niyama Sutram. In Hana Pusharyam Nam Shau. This Niyama Sutram. When you have in, Angamani in, it can only take Radhirga Shau Pari.
Correct.
So that limited the Svanamastani Chasam Buddha. That's why you need Saucha. 6.4.13. So yes, Mruganusarin Pradibadikam. And we get Mruganusarin. Then of course Hanyabhyo Sakar Lopaha. No Lopa Pradibadikanta. Svatya Lope Pratyalakshanam Suptinganta. But I mean, we're not going to put all this in the document. It'll take us too much time. But just like you derive, Yogin from Yogi or Swami from Yogin or Swamin, same things. If you want to practice these rules, go on the website and check 6.4.13. You get a lot of hits. And of course, we get the Padasanya by Pratyalakshanam Suptingantam Padam, and then Nolapur Pradibadikantas. Yeah. Okay, so Mruganusari. If you let's go to a document here. I put a lot of notes over here. So you know what? Ratham Arudha. So there are some part Bhedas. Okay, so there are some part Bhedas here. I think Rathena cha, I think in some text it has Ratha Rudha. So this book doesn't have that. It has Rathena. There are some difference in text. So anyway, this I put from another book, so I didn't realize there's a part Bheda here. So I derived the form Rudha from Dhatu Ruh. Bijanmani Pradurbhave cha. Add the Pratyak Ta in sense of Kartari. Remove this term past, passive. Participle is not a very good term. Many times it is neither past nor passive. In this case it is not passive. Like, Sutra we use 3.4.72. We use for this one, which says that Gatyartha karma kashli shashing sthasa vasa jana ruha jidatibhyascha can be used in the active sense, like comes in Gita chapter 6, which says Yoga Rusitaseva Shamah Karanamuchate. Yoga Rusitaseva. Same as Yoga Ruda in Gita, we have Ratha Rudha over here. Actually, here we don't have, but anyway, there's a part of Veda. Ratha Rudha is in this. In some of the texts have Ratha Rudha. So Yoga Rudha in Gita. So anyway, when we take this Dhatu Ruh and add Pratyakta in this active sense by 3.4.72, it is in the Hanteshu. Let's always check our list. What do we have? Hanteshu, 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 Hanteshu. Daha diha duha naha miha ruha. Anudat upadesha dhatuho. So 7 to 10 stops iragamaha. Because Anudat eka upadesha anudattat in nishedhaha. Then of course we get hodhaha. Then jashastator dhodhaha. Because if you have a takara or takaraha preceded by a jashastatoho, it takes the dhakara adeshaha. So rud so becomes ruddha, nistunashtuhu, ruddha, and then we come back and do dhodhe lopaha. Even though in Tripadi, normally we cannot come back like that because of Purvatra Siddham. But Vachana Samarthya, the Dhode Lopaha, very simply speaking, will have no application if we don't allow it to see the Shtunashtu. So Vachana Samarthyat, and similarly, Vachana Samarthyat, we go back and do the Dhalope Purvasidir Gonaha, which is the Sapada Saptadhyay. That should not see the Dhalopaha. But if you do not allow it to see the Dhalopaha, then the Dhalope, it says Dhalope. The Dhalopa only appears over here, 8, 3, 13, 14, Dhode Lopa and Rori. If you don't allow 6, 3, 1, 1, 1 to see the Dakar Lopa, it will not apply anywhere. So therefore, we have to allow it to see the Dhalopaha. So then we do Dhalope Purus Dirghanaha. The Ukara becomes Ukaraha. So Rudha. And Pratyay we add the Upasarga Ang, Arudha, Kugati Pradeha, Mikegati Samasaha. But anyway, we don't have this right now because in some texts they have Ratha Rudha. That's why I put this over here. And then Ratham Arudha, Ratha Rudha. We make a Dvitiya Samasa out of it. Now, as you know, in Tatpurusha land, Panini has specific sutras only, so we have to extend some of them. So we have to extend this to 124. 124, which is a Dvitiya Tatpurusha Samasa, 124. It doesn't have this word Rudha in there. Panini only puts Dvitiya, Shritatita, Patita, Gatatyasta, Prapta Pannaihi. Only these we can use. Dvitiya Samasa, but then is a Vartikam on that. Shitadishu Gammi Gamyadinam Upasankhanam, and this is Gamyadayascha Prayogato Jneyaha. So as for the Shishta Prayoga, we can extend that list of 124. So we make this form Rathama Rudha, Ratha Rudha. Okay, now how about this compound over here, which is the Sashara Chapahastaha. We can first form Sashara. So Sashara is Sharena Saha Vartate Sasharaha Chapaha. It is a bow which is with the arrow. With the arrow, which is with the arrow. So that sutram which we have learnt is this sutram which is 228. Tena Saheti Tulya Yoge. In the Bahuri compound. So please go back and practice from your notes. We have done all these sutras in the class. 228. Tena Saheti Tulya Yoge. So Tena Saheti Tulya Yoge 228. When something participates with something else in an action, then we can say it is Tulya Yoge. In this case, even though there may not be an action, we can say Sharena Saha Vartate. You know, it is with the bow which is with the arrow. Sharena Saha Griyate is taken with the arrow. So the arrow and the bow are taken together, or they are existing together. So Sharena Saha Vartate Sasharaha Chapaha. Then what happens is that we get the Saha takes the Sa-adeshaha by Vopasajanasya. In the Vopasajanasya, 6382. Remember in 6.3 of Ashtadhyayi, Panini starts with Uttarapade, Aluguttarapade. So when the Uttarapadam follows, the operation should be done on the Purapadam. At the end 6.3. And there, so 6.3 starts with Uttarapade, Aluguttarapade. Which is Adhikara, which means that 6.3 is talking about the operation to be done in a Samasa for the Purapadam, as opposed to the Adhikara of Samasantaha, which comes in 6468. 6468 Samasanta. That's at the end of the compound. The Adhikara of this Uttarapade is this sutram which says Vopasajanasya. If you want to go back here, and we can, if you want to quickly look at all these things, they're all in the document here. Vopasajanasya 6382 Vopasajanasya Upasarga Sarvavayavasya, which means that a compound in which every padam is upasarga, which is that Bahuvri compound. Sarvopasarjano Bahuvrihi. The Bahuvri compound is a general rule. Every padam has the upasarjana sanya. So upasarga sarvavayavakasya Samasasya ityartaha. Bahuvriher avayavasya sahasya sasyadva. Comes in Gita. Jnanam teham savijnanam. But another place in Gita comes Sahayajnya praja srishtva. So it's optional, you see. but here it has been done. So 6382 anekachi sarvasya. So we get the sashara, and this we get sasharaha, the Bovary compound qualifying chapaha. Then we make a karmadharya compound sashara sasarascha chapascha. So we get sashara chapaha. So it is a bow which is with the arrow. And then we can make another Bovary compound sashara chapo hastayor yasya saha, in whose hands there is this bow with the arrow. So that's the final. Now, normally by the sutram anekamanya padarthe, these, when you form Bovary compound, the terms of Bovary compound have to have samanadhikaranyam. They should be referred to the same thing. But if that is the case, what I'm talking about is 2 to 24 anekamanya padarthe. But then Panini says, here it says Saptami Visheshana Bahuvriha. He says put the Saptami Antam or the Visheshanam first in the Bahuvri compound. Now how can you have a Saptami Antam in the Bahuvri compound? It should be all Pratamantam. That becomes a Nyapakam for the Vyadikarana Bahuvrihi. That sometimes the Bahuvri may be formed where all the terms are not referring to the same thing. It may be Vyadikaranam, different thing, which is like what we have here. Because we have Sashara Chapa Hastayor Yasyasaha, in whose, this is Saptami, in whose hands there is this bow with the arrow. So this is a Nyapakam from the Sutram, Saptami Visheshana Bahuvriha. And then Saptami is going at the end here now. How come the Saptami Antam is not going in the beginning? Because we just said Saptami Visheshana Bahuvriha. It takes Purunipataha. Then why do we not have it in this compound here? Because there is this Vartikam, which says that Saptamyaha Purnipate Prapte. This is a typo here also. Excuse me, let me correct the typo here. It should be Prapte. Prapte. Gadvadibhya Saptamyantam Param. This Gadvadi Ganaha. It's a Gana basically. In short, sometimes Saptami will not go Puram. Like Chandrasekhara, right? Chandraha Shekhare Yasyasaha. Chandrasekharaha. Like Pinakapani. Pinaka. This is the arrow. So Panau Yasyasaha. Chakrapani. Chakram Panau Yasyasaha. These are all these compounds where the Saptamyantam becomes Param because the Vartikam on 2 to 35. 235 says Saptami Visheshana Bahuvriha, but there's a Vartikam which allows us to sometimes, according to Shishtaprayoga Anusarena. So we like Gadu Kantaha. Think Gadu like a hump. One has a hump on his neck. So Gadu Kante Yasyasaha. So now that would have been Gadu Kante Yasyasaha. So this is Kanta is going as the Uttarapadam. Okay, so that's how we did the first line, which is that the king on by a chariot, means basically on a chariot, he enters the stage with his charioteer, and this king is such that in his hands there is this bow with an arrow. And Mruganusari. So Mruganusari, let me see, did I derive that one? Mruganusari. Let me say. Okay. Mruganusarin Pratipadikam. Okay. Let me give you another example here. This is going to be by the Sutram, which is Saptamya Jato Ninistachilye. This is going to be very similar to what we did. In fact, let me give you an example. Okay, we can give an example here. Let's take this one. Let's take this one. Sutram 3278. 3278. Let us say, let me take a good example. How about that? Sita Anveshi, one who's searching for Sita. So Sitam Anvichati Tachilaha. This Adhikaraha, I know time is out. Let's just do this one component when we stop that. We'll conclude the class for today. You know this adhikara of the dhatu which starts from, see, first of all, to form any compound, you have to find a samasa vidhayaka sutram in 2.1 or 2.2 the Ashtadhyaya. Within that, from 2122 up to 2222 Tatpurush Adhikara. Within that, the last few rules, Panini gives some special Tatpurush Samasas. And there we have the sutram which says Upapadam Atinga. Upapadam can be compounded with Samarthena Shabdantarena as long as you know Tingantam Padam. So now, but what is the qualified Upapadam to use? For that we have to go to this adhikara in the dhatu adhikara, which starts from 3191 dhatoho, and there Panini gives us a sutram which is tatra upapadam saptamistam. Tatra means asmin vitya dhatu adhikare. In this dhatu adhikara, starting from this one, not including the prior one starts from 3122. So in this dhatu adhikara, upapadam saptamistam, so which is indicated by the saptami, the term indicated by the saptami, that will be upapadam. And there we have adhikara, we have sutram, I should say, which is saptamya jato. So saptami, saptamyam jato, excuse me. No, I'm confusing all of this. No, okay. Okay. So I told you, in the end of the class, I always make or cause confusion. Okay, let me go slow and take 2 minutes. Supya jato. I don't know why saptamyam jato. Supya jato. Supi is saptami of sup. I think what I was confusing was this sutram over here. Saptamyam janirdaha. No. Okay, I'm sorry. So this is not saptamyam. This is supi. Supi. So I don't want to make a mistake. End of this class also. So supya jato. Vinista chili. Not saptamyam, but supi. It can be any soup. Right now, of course, we have the karma. So, murgam, anusarati tachilaha, one who is constantly following the deer. Tachila means who is, just doing that, not like intermittently, but continuously is following the deer. So, supi, as long as you have any soup, the supi is saptami of sup. It could be any soup as upapadam, but ajato should not be a jati vachaka shabda. Then the nini pratyaya can be used, of course, dhatoho, but should be tachilye. It's a sense of one who does it habitually all the time, not once in a while. So when we so supya jato, sup not saptamya, but supya jato. Supi is saptamya. So sita manvichati tachila sita anveshi. Similarly, mrugam anusarati tachilaha raja mruga anusari. So where we take, instead of taking sita, take mruga, and instead of taking anu is anu, same thing, take dhatu sru. Okay, sru. I think dhatu sru is sru gata only it is. Let me just double check here, dhatu sru. So supya jato, supya jato. See, unless you teach, you never learn anything, So only when you go to teach something, you have to be very careful, try to not make mistakes, and you get to practice. So dhatu sru gatau. So sarati. So sru gatau. So put that dhatu over here. Supya jato nista chilye. So put dhatu sru. And anubandha lopa for nini chutu upadeshana nasika it. Then in this case we got the uganta laghupadasya. If we had dhatu sru, we can, we'll do the sarvadhatu kartaka yoho, make it sar uran raparaha. Then atopadhaya, we'll make it sar. So instead of esh, we'll get sar. So we got murga, anu and sar because of sarvadhatkartaka yoho, uran raparaha, and then atopadhayaha. Then of course we get we don't need this word because we don't need yan sandhi, we have dhatu sru, so it becomes sar anusarin. And in the meanwhile, this entire samudaya gets the pradivadasanya vikrutita samasascha, and supo dhatu pradivadika yoho supluk, so the goes away, mruganu. So we get the akasama dirgha, mruganusarin. Then of course as Anuji said, mruganusarin plus su, we get the upada dirgha by saucha. Mruganusarin. So sutram here is supya jato nista chilye. Next class, if you want to do some homework, we'll start from this one here. Rajanam mrugam chavalokya. So the sutaha is a typo, should be sutaha, the typo here. So having having seen the king and the deer, the sutas, the charioteers, says something to Raja. So we'll stop here, continue next time. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Vraje Ramena Bhyata Nishachara Chamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Raman Nasti Paranam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittale Sada Bhautame Bho Rama Mamudhara Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulya